Hello everyone and welcome back to another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle video. My name is DFree. Here today we're covering the legendary Goku event. I wanted to go ahead and give you guys some tips for it. If you're not familiar with what you should be doing, units you should be taking, especially from the global perspective because it just now is about to get released over on global. And again, it's something we've had for a long time on JP. So again, it's something that you can actually look up videos for and stuff like that. Myself and Truth have done a lot of videos on it alongside other YouTubers too. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hit that subscribe if you are new for more content. Also, let me know if you guys like to see any other guides and what they would be on. I'd be willing to cover those. So I want to start the video off by explaining that units that stack defense are the most important units you can take on your team for this Goku event if you are happening to be struggling. The reason why is because ultimately they'll get hundreds of thousands of defense, 300,000, 500,000. 700, 800, even a million on some cases, right? Some of these units are going to be able to stack defense to an incredible number, and the higher that defensive stat is, and especially if you have any sort of mitigation alongside it, you are just going to get to a point where even versus the final Goku boss, you take no damage. So that being said, that's one of the most important things you can do. So I want to kind of start off here before we get into more stacking stuff, because there's a lot of stacking, additional super types of units you guys can be made aware of, just in case you were not already, right? But I want to kind of take a look at some of the Fierce Battle Dokkan Fest leaders and go from there. So for the record, here's the deal. 99% of category leads can actually beat this, right? Fierce Battle, summonable category leads, obviously not like super like categories like, I don't even know if like the low class warrior category even has a leader. Like, is it like Raditz or something? That category obviously is not going to be able to beat this, right? Giant form, probably not. It's going to really struggle. It's going to be RNG dependent. You're going to need pretty much a perfect run and probably still can't beat it. SS3, same type of deal for the most part. Even with the heroes units, you still fall just a little bit short, but with a perfect run, you can get it done. But most of your other teams, Wicked Bloodline, your Fusions, your Potara, your Cell Saga, your Kamehameha, your Goku family, Vegeta family, Siblings Bond, all of these teams, movie heroes, it doesn't matter. Future Saga, I'm just kind of scrolling through and looking. They all have combinations of units that'll make it to where they can defeat the stage, right? So for this video, though, one thing I really wanted to highlight was this Goku. So this Goku was created in a way where he excels, and big time excels, versus the Goku event. You'll notice that from here on global, every unit that comes out, it initially on JP was Kale and Caulifla, but global's kind of in a really weird order. I don't know what's coming next other than full power Frieza, but pretty much every single unit that gets released in the game now, even including free units, is pretty much optimized to be able to body this Goku event. And it's really simple and very easy. All the unit has to do is stack attack, defense, and or both, right? Like that's all it really has to do, and you can get to a point where you can body it. So let's explain why this Goku is so good, and I wanted to highlight him because he is coming out as well alongside the event. So overall, though, you don't really need to pay much attention to how he is right here, but when his transformation condition is met, which is just 70% or less, starting from the third turn, very easy to do, he becomes insane. He stacks defense, 30% defense raise per super. He gets a start of the turn attack and defense boost, 59% for the rest of the battle additional attack after receiving an attack, and then a medium chance, which equates to 25% chance to receive all attacks with guarding. So that means that he'll have type advantage block versus the Int UI, for example, as if he was a physical unit. 25% chance to do that. But if he does it, if guard activated against the attacks, he gets a critical hit for 3 turns. Guaranteed crit. Perform a critical hit. Like, for 3 turns. Like, that's incredible. And even if it doesn't activate, his defense will be so high. To this day, mine is still 59%, 55, excuse me, on too much 59s all over the place, on the Japanese version. So I'll leave a video. You guys can watch me use this guy in action when he first came out on JP a few months ago. And this guy is awesome, bro. Awesome. So units that are built similarly to this are going to be able to excel. And again, they don't have to be summonable units. They can be units like this Krillin. This Krillin is going to be so good versus this event on the Android Cell Saga team. In fact, you might even be able to get away with running Krillin as a lead, filling in other units in between and running this category as well. That'd be highly suboptimal, but I'm sure you could do it, especially if you take a friend or a Cell friend, right? So again, raising defense on Super, 30% per. Start of the turn boost. he's going to be able to stack so nicely, it doesn't matter. He's going to be able to get to towards the end of the event 400,000 defense, and that's really the general premise of this. Like, again, every category can meet combinations of being able to do it. Some of your super quick categories would be probably like fusions, because you have Gogeta, bypassing type advantage or type disadvantage, excuse me. Be wary of Vegito units. Counter hits, unless they're crits, if you're not lowering the enemy's defense, will do literally double-digit damage. If you get a crit, you'll be fine, but if they're not a crit, they will do nothing. The reason why is because this is one of the only, there's like a handful of events in the game where actually lowering defense on the enemy is useful. Again, you may think otherwise, but there's only a handful of events in the game where you can lower their enemy's defense and actually have that respond to being able to do more damage. The reason why is because majority of events and bosses have damage mitigation instead. It doesn't really matter what you do to their defense. But this is an event where he doesn't have that. You can reduce his defense so low that your units will do a ton of damage, even without crits, which crits always bypass defense anyway, right? So let's talk about some other combinations of stuff and some other free units to highlight. For one, the Extreme Z area units and like this Great Saiyaman 4, like any unit on the page currently here is nuts versus the event in general. But the Extreme Z area Goku and the Vegeta cards, like for the record, okay, well here's Beat. He raises attack and defense. He has support, defense support. He gets to about 200,000 defense by the end of the event, which is good. He'll still take about 300k on a super from the NTUI, but that's still better than where he would be. This guy here though raises defense. You can lower the attack of the enemy up until SSG. Throughout the whole event, you'll be able to lower defense, like I mentioned. But not only that, he is a support unit, has start of the turn, and again, he also raises defense limitlessly. In the case of Vegeta, you're better off not even going Trunks until the very end. I recently did a video when these guys came out with their Extreme Z Awakenings, taking them there, and I'll link that down for you too, where it was like, okay, I exchanged both of them, I think, towards the end, and it was like, yeah, there's just no point, man. They're just better non-exchanged either way. And Vegeta, again, post-EZA, stacks attack and defense just like Beat, getting 90% though at the start of the turn to attack and defense too. And you can really make, and again, this is why I said you can do the Krillin thing. You could take a Krillin lead, these two cards, and then fill in the last few spots on that Cell Saga team, and honestly really body it. Like, really, really body it. You would be just fine. Because, again, stacking attack is nice, but the most important thing is stacking defense, because it makes your below-average defender units able to take on the event, if that makes sense. If you have just stacking attack like all these units do, without any sort of combination of defense in their passive, it's not going to be as valuable to you, because your unit might start hitting really, really hard, but they won't be able to take the hits back, and ultimately that's not going to work for you. And here are some more incredible units. UI Goku, Tech Transforming Trunks, who admittedly is not out on that version of the game. Vegito Blue, LR does stack if you do 12 key super specifically. The other one is just an attack raise for the turn. Speaking of Vegito Blue, he's one of the only tech units alongside, like, I'd say, like, Go Bros, any tech unit that can really defend pretty well. Golden Frieza's EZA, which isn't available on global yet. The Trunks, like there's not very many tech units that can actually be successful on the stage. Vegito is one that can be if you get lucky with the RNG. Do me a favor, if you have any dupes, max out his additional super attack. You want as many additional supers as you can get, because that's pretty much the only way this guy actually gets defense. But towards the end of the event, with his additional super chances, potentially crit supers, he can body the event. But again, he'll be any tech unit pretty much will get to a point where they take 200, 300,000 damage on a super. The Goku does not super multiple times in a turn though, so it doesn't really matter ultimately. Just be careful. Don't get too low. Don't play loosely. You'll be fine. And even if the match is taking you an hour to do, you're fine. If you beat it, you beat it, right? And of course, for the event, there are like rewards like free stones and stuff like that. I believe it's free stones, but there's tickets and stuff like that. Also, another fun fact is this guy. So I did a video for this guy too. I guess I'm just going to link a whole bunch of stuff. This guy raises attack and defense limitlessly just like the others. Again, another unit that does this. 20% though instead of 30. Something fun though is on transformation, he actually does this too. Downside is he gets to a point where he doesn't do it anymore. He cannot reach the same defensive peaks as the other one. He can still probably hit harder, but he won't reach the same peaks. If you want to reverse this guy, it'd be a good idea. You'd be pretty successful. You don't need to. He's good enough outright, but you'd be successful in doing so. So huge shout out to the Dokkan Reddit for this post. It actually came out when the Goku event came out initially. Not really much to really talk about here, but they just go over tips here. Goku's defense stat increases every form as he gets tougher. Thus, units capable of greatly or massively lowering defense are very useful. Yes, units that say massively lowering defense or great lowering defense are incredible here. Do not sleep on them. Units like the Dragon Ball Super Broly, the physical one, of course, stuff like that. Critical hits also make your attacks ignore the enemy's defense. Units capable of raising attack and or defense for 99 turns or raising their attack and or defense each turn in their passive are extremely valuable to beat Goku as they gradually get stronger during this long battle. One of the best possible characters to take here is a character that does a combination of both of those things, and that's the SS2 Transforming Gohan, wherever he's at, the LR one that just came out, of course. He does the, as turns go, he progressively gets stronger, but he also stacks defense on Super. Same goes for, again, Tech Trunks, who he'd be a good idea to summon for when he comes out. And again, another unit you probably don't want to bother transforming until the very, very end because he gets less consistent for some of those stats. But again, units that can do combinations of these things really make this easy. And again, I don't want to overcomplicate this because I feel like most of you guys will be able to beat this. You may have to make sure you don't have any weak points in your team. Like, if you have, like, a unit that's a support unit, probably take them off. Probably take them off. And replace them with a defender unit, and you're fine. You don't really need that. Unless it's like physical Kid Buu, I guess, on some spots. He can be fine. And also, just be aware that versus the Inti UI, you can't dodge attacks at all either. So, there's that. So, be very careful with your dodge-reliant units and your support units overall. So, units capable of transformations are also amazing choices for this as they become more powerful when their conditions are met. Yes, any transforming unit bodies this. Bodies it. Just because the stage was made with the intent of making it to where they're actually usable, right? That was the main complaint for a lot of units, is just you can never transform. Physical type units are among the best choices to beat Goku as the final hardest form. Ultra Instinct is int type, making them effective since they take less damage and do more damage to Goku. And again, huge shout out to the creator of this post here. The final form of Goku disables evasion. You cannot dodge, yes. And these are some of the best possible units for this. Here you have combinations of some of the best defenders in the game, combinations of stackers. You have combinations of powerful attack stackers too. Progressively getting better at things like Future Gohan. He gets progressively better defensively as turns go. And Kale and Caulifla as an LR don't really count right now, but when they come out, they body this because they do nothing but additional super the whole freaking time while stacking. They're nuts, right? They're like the best card you can take here in general, as far as teams are concerned. So that's pretty much it. And again, like I mentioned, honestly, it doesn't really matter how many dupes you have if you can make it to where you maybe take a good friend and then also you have the combination of stackers on your team, you're fine. If you have rainbow teams, you can just power through this. It's not, you probably will think this is harder than it actually will wind up being for you, and you probably will not struggle with this at all. But again, just about every single category that has a at least decently modern summonable leader, or at least a Dokkan Fest leader, should be able to get this done. So Pure Saiyans, all of them. Even if you do mixtures of like running this Trunks' secondary leader skill eventually, things like that. The only ones that'll really struggle, now that I look at it, will be like Hit. Because Hit has no defense. Pretty much all of them. 99% of them can do it though. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hit that subscribe if you are new for more content, and I'll catch all of you in the next one. And good luck.